Disinformation and misinformation is content that no advertiser wants to be associated with.
Disinformation is defined as false or misleading content that is spread with the intention to deceive or secure economic or political gain, and which may cause public harm. But in digital advertising, it's seen from two sides, from the coverage of content that contains disinformation or the placement of ads on properties that contain disinformation.
It both harms brand equity, but also advertising around this could fund bad actors and increase the dissemination of disinformation. And the European Commission Code of Practice defined disinformation as deliberate misleading information that causes public harm. The difference between disinformation and misinformation is probably better defined by the UN, which defined misinformation as effectively the dissemination of disinformation, but unintentionally. There are better definitions out there than what I've just said, but those are the two clear definitions. One of the things we as an industry need to come together on is how do we tackle disinformation, especially as we go into major, election cycles, or there's major global events and a continuous evolving news cycle with some challenging topics that we all need to address and be aware of.
One of the key objectives of IAB Europe is to build a sustainable future for digital advertising and marketing. National IABs across Europe try to achieve this by creating standards and frameworks to provide a set of principles and rules to encourage responsibility and quality digital advertising. And specifically on disinformation, that has been something that the industry has been worried about for years. And IAB Europe has been taking part of the disinformation discussions at the EU institutions, along with other phenomena since 2018. In fact, IAB Europe has been keep on supporting the conversations and initiatives that have been open at that EU level, declaring being supportive of quality journalism and of the ending of financial incentives for purveyors of disinformation.
What brands can do is utilize the tools that are available to them today. Look at your tool set, look at what you're doing, look at the way you're buying. Find a solution that can classify content in multiple different languages and flag to you when there are incidents and give you the tools to avoid them. Utilize things such as site and app exclusion lists, where if you notice that there are certain websites that are large purveyors of this information, don't put them on a plan, put them on an exclusion list, avoid that.
We have to look at it from two sides. The first area has to do with the coverage of content that contains disinformation. Those are directly involved in the creation and management of content. They, of course, have a responsibility for an impact on this initial aspect of supporting or preventing disinformation. This might include user-generated content, but also any kind of digital content, including websites of all kinds, apps, videos, audios, and of course, advertisements. The next area is more involved in the placement of ads. When considering the placement of ads, it is important to assess the content of the properties into which the ads are placed. Care should be taken to avoid the placement of ads next or within the content and sources of disinformation. And also, the best way to counter disinformation is actually with information. This is why it's vital not to only take steps to fight disinformation, but also to relocate the resources to find responsible, credible, and fact-based media. And overall, this is, of course, a complicated topic, and there's not a magic type of safeguard that is going to completely end with the disinformation all at once. But the 2022 Code of Practice on Disinformation is a good start for companies, and it suggests to incorporate policies against disinformation. Among measurements or more practices that the industry is taking to fight disinformation, we can include the keyword blocking, site and app exclusion exception list, and brand safety and brand stability. But lastly, supporting the wider initiatives such as the Core Practice on Disinformation. This serves as a best of action for tackling disinformation and helps us to develop best practices.
You can use keyword block lists if there is a particular challenge, challenging content, or a certain certain topic that you know is prone to mis and disinformation. Consider adding those to your keyword block list. But I would say don't overuse a keyword block list because it can inhibit scale. Rely on those classification providers that are able to detect this through AI and humans as well. Use the tools available to you out there in the ecosystem. Make sure that you are working with companies that have the ability to detect disinformation, misinformation at scale, but without harming your scale. And basically consider the quality journalism out there and the quality news providers when implementing these, because some of the challenging news cycles that you may be looking to avoid will be featuring heavily on them. One of the things that I would say, get involved in the industry conversation, whether it's with the European Commission or IAB Europe, around tackling disinformation and misinformation, so you're better aware of the challenges we face and the action we need to take.
I think we have to focus ourselves in 3 major points. So the first one will be to always stay informed with what's going on in the world, and also to have an idea of like disinformation and the context of this disinformation, and also be aware of the latest best practices that the industry has been taken, or the actually developments of them. I think the second one is the advocate and support industry-wide initiatives. So this will be like the Global Alliance for Responsible Media, known as GARM, or the already mentioned Code of Practice on Disinformation. And the last point will be to support responsible news and quality journalism, because as I said before, the best way to fight disinformation is with information.
I think we need to take responsibility, understand where our ads are running from a brand perspective, and take action to demonetize, meaning prevent your ads from running against them, so we're not funding purveyors of disinformation. And at a platform and publisher level, make sure that we're fully aware of the content being published on our websites, and making sure that we're taking the appropriate action for those challenging news stories that would be considered disinformation and misinformation.